Good day, YouTube. Today I'm going to share with you who I am, what I'm about, my family, where I came from. Instead of talking about just the military and finances, I'll give you more about where I came from. Hope you enjoy it. I was born in Los Angeles, raised in Los Angeles, Hollywood. And that is one of the things, that's one of the reasons why I like movies. This is what happens when you buy a ticket at the last time.
Grateful Dead movie when it returns to cinemas for a special fan meetup.
Row number 2. We just left the movie called The Shack. I had no idea what it was about, but what an incredible movie. Definitely gonna buy it when it comes out. Check it out if you can. Like I said, I grew up in Los Angeles, raised by my mom. My mom is from Guatemala. She actually just passed away last month. My father is from Mexico. I got to see him. And that's like I speak Spanish. Spanish was my first language. And I was raised by my mom and my sister. So my parents were divorced by the time I was 6. That's how come there's a lot of things that I can't do that most guys could do. For example, mechanics or handiwork. I can't do any of that. But I've always told my wife, maybe I don't know how to do that, but at least I know how to pay someone, or I earn enough that I can actually pay someone to do it. For example, today we went to Lowe's, and the guy said, hey, if you want to buy this screen door, you can install it yourself. It'll take you about 2 hours. It's pretty simple. And I said, no, thank you. I was raised in the 1980s. I was a teenager. Growing up in Hollywood, I was influenced by rock and roll bands like Motley Crue and bands like that. That's how come I got tattoos, because I was influenced by these people. And I grew up in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, where in the 1980s it was a great time. I was only about 15, 16 at that time, but I got to see a lot of cool things in Hollywood. And it's one of those things that I do appreciate, growing up in a big city like Los Angeles and seeing all the things that I got to see. Off to work. Made it to work. Looking back at my youth, one of the things that I know now as I get older is a weakness was communication. When everything was good, piece of cake. However, when I had challenges, I could not communicate the way I should. And it's one of those things that maybe began at home. I actually know it began at home, and I wish I could have been better at communicating, which is why with my family, it's one of those things that I'm not saying I'm perfect, but it's one of those things that I want to improve. My friends became my family. In other words, the few people that I consider to be really good friends became my family, because sometimes at home you have challenges, and that's part of that communication. I didn't know how to deal with it. So when I left home at the age of 19 to make my own life, those friends became my family, and those are the people that I still talk to up to this date. Because I travel a lot, I'm going to show you our office real quick in the middle of this video. This room here used to be our office when we bought the house back in 2003. It used to be our daughter's room. Did I just say that? And she was 5, 6, and 7 before we moved. Now it's an office where I spend a lot of time. These are CDs that most of them I get from thrift shops, and I got this rack just a few days ago. More CDs, old cassette player, record player, beautiful Pioneer receiver that I bought at a thrift shop with some speakers, cassettes from the Smiths, Morrissey, Beastie Boys, U2, Weezer. I'm a collector of Starbucks mugs. most of the places I've been to, not every single place. My father-in-law, who was a Vietnam veteran in the Army. And all of these are cassettes. Most of them from thrift shops. I am missing the Los Angeles Rams mug. I have to find that one. Books. Vinyl.
What the blood clot? I rap a lot. What you gonna do when the beat goes drop? What you talking about, Rivers? Who the illest? You know the name is Adam. Stop calling me Phyllis.
After high school, I went to college. I went to California State University, Los Angeles. Very happy to be there. And I started off well. I never took out any student loans. I either had money that I had saved up, which wasn't that much, or I used Pell Grants, which I did not have to pay back. And that's how I paid for college. However, after the first semester, it was completely different than high school. I realized there was no parent at the school watching, asking if I went to class, asking if I turned in the homework assignment. And college for me, from the age of 18 to 21, was not successful overall. I went to college for 3 years. However, I had after 3 years, not even a year and a half of college, because I went part-time, or I would stop going to class and I wouldn't withdraw. And my counselor, her name was Judy. She was a very helpful lady at Cal State Los Angeles. Was not successful in having me be a successful student. So eventually I got kicked out of a university because my grade point average was below 2.0. Sometimes it'd come up, sometimes it'd go down. The school finally said, "You're not ready for college, at least at this university." And they academically disqualified me from school. That was the day when I received that letter that I realized I had made a big mistake at the age of 21, because now what was I going to do? I went to a community college, East Los Angeles Community College. I took 2 classes. I did okay. The last week, the week of finals, I did not go and take those tests. That told me I wasn't ready for college, whether it was at a university or at a community college. Fast forward 2 years later, at the age of 23, I decided to enlist in the Air Force. I enlisted in the Air Force in July of 1995. I was 23 years old. And let's go back 2 months before. At a club in Los Angeles, it's a salsa merengue club called the Mayan, I met a young girl who was 22 years old. And that's the lady, my wife, Julia, that I ended up marrying. We just celebrated 21 years of marriage last week. We met at a club and we started our own family once I left for basic training in April of 1996. In our family, we have our son Aaron, and we have our daughter Clarissa. Because life goes by so quick, we are now empty nesters. So my wife and I live at home. This is the house of my roommate. And it's very cold right now because he's out of town. That's okay. He doesn't even have the heater on, but that doesn't matter because I have a space heater in my room. Now, we're empty nesters, and I stay here twice per week. In 2018, in the summer of next year, I will go back to my civilian job at Peterson Air Force Base. I will be home every night. I have to book some tickets as we speak, either tonight or tomorrow, because I want to take my wife to the island of St. Martin and have a good time, have a vacation. We've worked very hard raising our family with our children, and now it's just her and I, unless our son comes to visit or our daughter's home for a break from school. And I've told my wife, now it's time for us to have some fun as well. We have the ability to do it, and we have to do it because we sacrifice, by me being away from home, Monday through Friday, come home a few nights, but 2 nights, like I said, I stay here. So it's important that her and I do stuff for ourselves, whether it's travel. We were just in Costa Rica maybe 6 months ago, about 6 months ago. And now it's time for us to, in June, go to St. Martin and have a great time at that island. This has been an insight to what my life is like outside of work, outside of talking about the Air Force, outside of talking about finances. I joined the Air Force. It was the best decision that I could have made. It opened up so many doors. I'm 45 years old now, and I hope to say that at least I have 45 more years of life left, or so, maybe less, maybe more, and I'm going to maximize and enjoy it. And it's not always easy, but I'm willing to ask for help when I need help, whether it's at work, whether it's with a doctor. I'm willing to help others because it's something that I really enjoy. For me, human resources, I'm a personnel guy. I really like to interact with people, and not just on the base where I work, whatever base I may be assigned, but I love the opportunity that I've had to meet many of you, even if it's through a comment on YouTube, and interact with people around the world, mainly in the United States, but around the world. I hope you've enjoyed this. Have a great day.